Welcome to Camera Central News. This is where we're going to be going over the news.
And we're going to be bringing you some of the hottest topics in the photographic industry. So I think we're going to get started with title sequence.
Title sequence. What the hell?
Going to be really sharp. Still really impressed with that. Insert title sequence here. I'll be there for you when the rain starts to fall. And here's the weather.
It's sunny. First thing we're going to be talking about today, of course, is the Peter McKinnon photo that he took with Red Bull. There were a few other photographers there with him on the day, but of course that one's probably been doing the most of the rounds.
I think that one's probably the most popular one online right now, isn't it? I mean,
and I tell you what, let's in fact get the photo up on screen.
Awesome shot. I think. I mean, I think you're probably going to say it's slightly off-centre.
If you don't know Peter McKinnon, everyone should do because it's Peter McKinnon.
Oh, no, it is centre. No, it is centre. My mistake.
To be fair. What are you talking about?
I remember the other shot that he did. I think he's moved it slightly.
Well, the only thing I would comment on it is the planes aren't like touching the sides of it like perfectly symmetrical.
Yeah, because I know you're fussy. Let's be real, you are fussy.
I'm a fussy dude, but like at the end of the day, when it comes down to like meanings of shots, like actually being able to achieve something like this is once in a lifetime event anyway. So that in itself is awesome. But the other thing is today we're like bombarded with AI imagery. Sometimes the flaws that you may perceive in an image are actually showing off the actual bonuses that you wouldn't actually see in AI imagery anyway.
And AI is a topic we'll come on to later on. But generally speaking, it is hard to sort of believe a shot like that, I suppose.
Yes.
Because generally speaking, you look at it and go, oh, it's possibly AI. But this is not. And apparently on his YouTube channel, he's going to release a whole behind-the-scenes video. I don't think he has yet.
He hasn't. I'm hugely excited. He's kind of done a video on it at the moment where he kind of went over it very briefly, but I'm really excited to see the full video if he does one.
Yes, and Peter McKinnon, if you are watching, please tell us more. I'd like to know more, a lot more.
Yeah, 100%. The other thing of it is, like, Peter McKinnon as a whole has inspired so many people just to get into photography.
It's true, yeah.
And I find him fascinating just as an individual. So if you are watching this, this is awesome.
He's kind of like, I like to say he's the Jack Sparrow of photography.
The Jack Sparrow of photography.
Because he's got that pirate vibe about him.
He does have that pirate vibe.
And I'm sure I hope you take that as a compliment, Peter. It really is. But his photography style is kind of dark and moody, and I kind of like that about him.
Yeah,
I'm kind of all about that vibe. So, yeah.
Another thing about the Eclipse photos, everything happening around the Eclipse. Do you want to know the number one thing that was searched through the region of the Eclipse?
Yes,
photos?
My eyes hurt, isn't it, or something like that?
It's my eyes hurt. And if you ever look on Google Analytics, it actually just shows a line straight through the middle.
Yes, we'll be showing this on screen as we're talking because it's very,
I'll
very
find it later because I haven't
important.
actually got it up, but it's actually quite interesting.
It is quite cool. And if your eyes are hurting, we're not medical professionals. Please go and see a doctor.
I do feel like when it comes to just like last little bit on this particular photo, I think Red Bull really needs to do like a museum of photos.
I think it'd be really interesting and really cool.
They've done so many things when it comes to photography and in the creative arts as well, with photos you'll never be able to get.
Yeah, from a social media perspective, though, their content is very rarely about photography itself and actually just about the enjoyment of it.
Exactly.
And so, they're not camera reviewers. They're not there for that. It's just putting the Red Bull brand in as many places as possible.
Love the photo, Peter McKinnon. Make sure next time you get the planes right.
Yeah. It's really ace photo.
Because let's face it, it's a photo that, is pretty easy to take overall.
Yeah.
I'm joking. It's absolutely fantastic.
It is awesome.
Beautiful image.
Honestly, it's really, really cool. I say it's up there, one of the top 10 images so far this year.
Yeah.
100%.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, for sure.
Just in Wales, our eclipse wasn't as dramatic as it was in the US. Or wherever it was that this was shot, essentially.
Well, no, it didn't even come. We didn't even have the totality.
Well, technically
That's
we
a great
did,
word,
but we had a
totality.
lot of grey cloud cover, and it was interesting to see people's photos of the eclipse when I asked them to send them in on Facebook because they sent me grey skies. It was great, so thank you for that.
It's basically the Wales, though. To be fair, the other one that I did see, and it kind of like goes into one of the releases today as well. It wasn't actually taken on the camera that was released, but it was somebody sending up a 360 camera. I haven't actually got the link for it, but I saw it earlier, so I'm going to be scouring to find it. Where they sent a 360 camera up here with a helium balloon, and they had the sun on one side and then the shadow on the earth on the other side, which I thought was a really interesting way to actually capture that moment, and something nobody else has done. It's not artsy, but
it's kind of almost science fiction, but actual.
Yeah, for sure.
That's cool.
Cool.
On the topic of astrophotography, I think it's right that we mention one particular person
of course.
who unfortunately passed away a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
And that was Mr. Alan Wallace, who was the most amazing astrophotographer. And a Welsh photographer too. And he sadly passed away, so I think it's just right that we sort of drop him in there.
That. The other side of it is just talk about the man himself. Like, he inspired so many people to get into astrophotography, and I'm speaking to a number of friends who do that kind of like side of photography. It's something that comes up quite often, and absolutely wonderful human being. Really sad to see him go.
Very much loved. I think that was obvious from how many people actually commented and interacted with our post. Our next bit of news, and this is going to be really, really cool, is there's a couple of lenses that have come out recently. I'm mostly sitting around Sony, and there's one that we did a video on, which is the 50mm 1.2.
Yes.
Which I've ordered.
It was amazing. Like, genuinely, when it comes to Sigma, for the most part, with their lenses, they tend to be a lot heavier and just... They're great lenses, super sharp, but they're not ideal for when you want to just go out and shoot. The 50mm, I was really surprised with Sigma actually really trying hard to reduce the weight of that. And we compared it to the 50mm f1.2 GM as well, and the size difference is spot on. Like,
it is one of those things I think most people are going to migrate from a 1.4 to a 1.2 now, and it is exactly the same size. So there is no loss or gain in weight in any way, shape or form in that respect. But for a 1.2 to be as light as it is, I mean, it was really easy for me to order one. For myself.
For sure.
That will be going in our collection.
I also did love the video as well. It was a lot of fun to do, and we got some really cool content out of it.
Lewis and Sowler.
Lewis and Sowler. And speaking of Lewis and Sowler, we actually did a podcast with them not soon after. Not that soon after. And it was interesting to get the perspective of people that have been in the model industry, and kind of like what their advice would be. All the links to the video will be appearing here and whatever.
And if you're watching this on Instagram or TikTok, it's literally a couple of videos back, so you should be able to see it on there too. So moving on, today's really interesting, because we have 2 releases coming out today.
And today is the 16th of April. If I get it out today, that's great. If I don't get it out today,
if not,
today is the 16th of April. We've gone back in time.
And whatever time it is where you are right now is exactly what Stuart just said. So that's fine. So we'll start with, let's go a little bit away from Sony, just for now. Insta360 X4. Just released, because we were talking about 360 cameras just now. 8K resolution.
8K resolution,
which is...
it's I believe it's one of the first 360 cameras to actually introduce that on the market.
I believe so.
Which, that's fantastic in and of itself. 360 cameras isn't necessarily something we've covered here much on the channel. I believe it would be good to perhaps do a little bit more on it, because they do give you a very unique perspective, unlike something else that you would be able to capture.
They're really interesting. They're one of those things you think about where you're going to apply it. Particularly in terms of video. I think in terms of like doing interiors and stuff, they're pretty self-explanatory. But yeah, it's like an extra thing or a string to your bow with content creation. I think that's really interesting to look at.
For sure. But the other side of it is this going to be something that people are going to adopt widely within the sort of like real estate 3D imaging market? Because it's a camera brand that gets used quite heavily for that kind of stuff. So is this going to be something that's going to be popular for that side of it?
I would say and argue that Insta360 is probably the top brand for that, really. But what's interesting about Insta360 is they're introducing AI integration into a lot of the cameras. So they did that with the Ace Pro, which is they claim to be the first AI action camera.
Which I believe it is. We actually did a video on the Ace Pro, and it was a fantastic camera overall. It would have been good to have a autofocus in the lens, because actually using it as a selfie camera wasn't actually fantastic. Anyway, X4 before we get distracted.
So that's released today. Apparently, literally just watched their Facebook Live. I think it cut out halfway through. That was great fun. But they got the camera announcement out.
So what are the specs of it? You said you put
8K, I believe 30p. I'll double check that one. 5.7K at 60p and 2.7K at 120.
That's pretty good.
Does do 4K
nice
standard as well.
Yeah.
So I believe 4K 30 and 4K 60. But again, we'll double check all that.
And of course, you got the ability to completely erase the stick as well, which is pretty cool. You allows you to get kind of drone look.
Awesome. I've never used one. I'll be honest. Never used one.
And exactly, this is something I feel like we need to cover on the channel. Maybe it's one of those cameras that we could probably go on that zip line nearby.
If you would like us to do some more stuff on Insta360, let us know in the comments, because we'd be really keen to see whether you'd actually watch it or not.
I mean, better yet, if you actually put a like on this video, I will hurtle down to the earth on the world's longest zip line, if they allow me to go on.
Yes, it's in the plan.
And we shall try and get the X4 to film that in glorious K.
Another thing, if we get over 5,000 followers on Instagram, so breaking away from Insta360, we also have the DJI Ronin 4.
The DJI Ronin 4, which has come up a really good time, because at the moment I'm putting together a tutorial for gimbal work in particular.
We are working on that one.
So I'm just kind of waiting for us to get access to that, for me to actually be able to complete that side of the video.
They've released it, the Ronin 4 and the 4 Pro.
Which is exciting. They've made the motors more powerful. When it comes to DJI and the kind of new iteration of them, it's usually slight improvements, but enough to really make it worthwhile.
They really went to town in terms of their advertising on the car mounting.
Yeah.
I think that's the number one USP behind it.
Yeah.
Not that you can do it with other ones,
but it's more about the adapters, I think, this launch.
And the accessories.
And slight improvements upon the internals of the actual
things like the Focus Pro and stuff like that. I think they've really gone to town on the accessories.
Yeah.
So
well, the other thing about the Focus Pro, because usually when it came to DJI accessories, they were just meant to go on the Ronin, and they were kind of like hard locked to that for the most part. I think the biggest one for me was the Raven Eye, which was like a HDMI transmitter that had a cold shoe on it, but it never actually fit in a cold shoe, or it was just loose in a cold shoe. But this time you can actually take the Focus Pro off and use it as like a handheld rig, which I think is actually really interesting as a whole. And having a small and light setup to be able to create a rig, is massively exciting for me. And I think it's something that, I'm even more excited by some other news I heard about today, which was from Atmos with the Atmos phone. Which is this like Ninja HDMI kind of like adapter. So just like thinking about the rig ideas is getting me going, and I'm excited. But DJI as a whole, at the moment, with the releases, I think most of them have been really on point, and I'm really impressed to see where they go with this in the future.
Going to release a 16 to 25 f2.8G lens.
So what do you think about the new lenses that they've been introducing recently?
They're small and compact. I feel like they've designed it around some of their new releases, like the A7CR, C2s. I feel they're kind of suited to that, and I understand it, because some lenses, like we both own them. They putting some of their lenses currently on them can be a little bit cumbersome, a little bit big.
Here and there. I mean, the lenses in general have been quite light overall, but the having a much smaller, lighter setup, I get the target price of this is really to combat Sigma at the moment for the majority of their really sharp lenses at a decent price point. So bringing it down to, I believe, like 1,200 or something.
1299 retail.
1299, and I believe the other one, the 2450, is also 1,200.
It's around that,
around that sort of price. We'll put the price up on the screen. The lenses, I think they are impressive. I think they've got a particular market. Is it something that they feel like is going to beat out Sigma on that side of things? I don't really know.
I don't think so, but I think it'll give more flexible options for people who want to buy Sony glass.
We will be doing a video on the on the new one as well. We just did a video on the 2450, and it was a lot of fun. I can see why people like it. It's a nice focal range, because you've got that 24-50, which is kind of the focal range that I like to keep myself in general if you're talking about primes. So
the only thing to compare that to would be a 24-70, and at that point it's less than half the size of it. I mean, it is tiny and small. So I even considered one at one point. I did, because I thought it's nice and light, and I'm going on holiday soon. Yeah. That would be great for that. But,
100%. And I think it's like people that want to keep things nice, like, for example, I've just recently moved over into using a sling bag for the majority of when I go out and shoot. And I currently have got myself what I call the... I call it the bastard trinity, but I don't really know where to say. So it's basically a 1635, a 2470, f2.8 on those ones, and then the 7200 macro, and they're all similar sort of weight and size, and I quite like that, but it also does fill up my bag quite quick. So in that 100%. Retrospect, I do see the benefit in the 1625 and the 24.
Yeah, that's it. I'm considering a new bag myself, actually. Are you? Yeah, I'm thinking, because like my 100 bag is great. The issue with it is it's not really that waterproof, even with a rainfly on it. Yeah. Not to slate 100 because it's been great, and I didn't really pay anything for mine. Yeah. It's like staff benefit. So I am considering another bag option. I'm looking at Vanguard again, but I don't know yet. I don't know. Yeah. We'll see. So another thing in the news, Blackmagic Pyxis. Do you want to say a bit more about that? Because I sort of know about it.
I feel like it'd be really good if you'd actually talk about the Blackmagic.
It's a new camera. Does 6K video. It's basically a competitor to the FX6, right? Essentially, that's what it is. So it's about $3,000 as well. It's about three. It's
around $3,000. We don't really know the price point in the UK at the moment. It's literally just been announced that NAB, which is probably what we should have introduced this segment into, especially if we were talking about the Atmos Ninja phone there as well. But the Pyxis, I think, is interesting from a load of different perspectives. When it came to the FX6 and me actually having one, you know, it's a very high price point. It's a great camera overall, the FX6. Nothing to complain about there at all, apart from a few niggly things, which they decided to do correctly in the Pyxis.
Right.
So, for example, the audio port that's just on there for just a standard 3mm jack. Yeah. That's actually just on the actual base unit. Right. In the FX6, you actually had to have the top handle on to actually have any audio options in the slightest.
Okay.
Which is a little bit kind of like backwards in terms of like the way in which, you know, which is easier to shoot.
You would think that audio would be like a primary focus for a camera like that.
You've also got a large screen on the side of it and just generally really great interface.
It's almost like you can watch it like a telly.
Yeah. Right. Looking at what people are saying about it, it is basically just a rehoused 6K full frame pocket camera, which, you know, we're kind of really expecting at this point because manufacturers just love doing that. But my main issue when it came to pocket cameras in the past has actually been the form factor of it. I really hated it. With the FX6 kind of form factor, I feel like the Pyxis is really going to hit the right market here. And it's a camera that I'm really excited to try out. It is an L mount, EF mount, and PL mount, so that's exciting.
Got to get those mounts in there, haven't we?
Of course, when it does come to Blackmagic, you have actually got that incredible Blackmagic color science, which you're just expecting, as well as Blackmagic RAW. The other thing that I think is going to be probably a negative in it, and why people may like the FX6 more than the Pyxis is, of course, you don't have a variable ND in the Pyxis. Yeah. There is an internal stabilization unit, which you're not really expecting from Blackmagic just anyway, because I don't think they actually put it in many of their cameras.
No, I don't think so.
But you've also not got something else, which, you've also not really got great autofocus, which Blackmagics are hard pressed for. Okay. The thing is, though, when you think about it, like the same price in which you would actually spend on a FX6, you could actually get yourself a Blackmagic Pyxis and the new Ronin the Ronin focus kit, and then you've actually got great autofocus capability there on even your manual lenses. Yeah, sure. Which I think would actually be a really killer setup.
I didn't think of that. Yeah. That sounds like a really good idea, so actually.
In terms of just like releases at the moment, I think if you think about it, kind of like people looking to do setups, that would be a really killer setup. And I think, you know,
I think
if you want autofocus,
from the sort of brief videos that I saw of it, I think people were more concerned about how they're going to rig it rather than how they're going to utilize the actual camera itself. Yeah. You know, if you're putting stuff to the left-hand side of the handlebar, is that going to be in the way of the screen?
The interesting choice they had is actually using BPU batteries, which is the same battery as the FX6. So I guess they're kind of looking to entice people that have an FX6 over to their unit, because it is the BPU batteries, which is a Sony battery for the FX6. So
fair enough. Cool.
Yeah, so that's the Pyxis. My thoughts on it as somebody that's had an FX6, love that camera. Really interested in the Pyxis. Really good price point. If you are just looking for a proper cinema kind of like looking, feeling, capable camera, I think it's exciting. It's also got a dual native ISO. Oh, okay. So, of course, this has been our first. This is something I haven't mentioned. This is our first news episode.
Insert title sequence here.
If you're liking it so far, then absolutely fantastic. But looking at kind of stories we can talk about over on the Pixel of Peta.
And in this section, we're now going to talk to you about some just general photography topics, not necessarily camera or lens related, but there are some things out in the news and in the world at the moment that are quite interesting, quite fun, and good to get people's perspectives on. Let's start with Hannah Waddingham.
Hannah Waddingham.
Yes.
Absolutely love her.
I love
Ted
Hannah
Lasso,
Waddingham.
Believe.
Yes.
Believe.
I love Hannah Waddingham a lot. She caught the attention of the media a couple of days ago. So she was hosting the Olivier Awards, which is the sort of musicals Oscars, shall we say. Yeah. And basically a photographer asked her to show a bit of leg, and she called him a dick.
Which I think she was quite rightly to call her a dick.
She said specifically what she said was, you wouldn't say that to a man. Don't be a dick.
Like, the thing is with Hannah Waddingham is that she can just tell you off. Yeah. And it's just the most perfect telling off
It's
ever.
like your mum telling you off.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like, you know?
Yeah. I just love Hannah Waddingham just in general. Absolutely.
But on that topic, so she is right. You know, why would you ask her to show a bit of leg? She's, you know, a mature woman. She's an actress. She's, you know, why would she need to do that? I don't understand that.
I think it just comes down to kind of like the standards of kind of how photography and things have been done for a really long time. You know, there is a certain aspect of just like how we treat the different sexes, and it's evolved over the years to where it is now.
So I believe
I think it's getting better, but it's
the particular photographer in question was a gentleman of the older generation, and I think that was very much the norm, and I don't think he meant anything by it in particular. No. But there has to be a moment when we go, well, guys, come on, that's not entirely appropriate. No. Like, why would you do that in front of, you know, it's the most stressful day of her week. Yeah. She's hosting the Olivier Awards. It's a big deal. You know, she's probably got a million and one things going through her head. She's a mum. She's got loads of other things going on. Yeah. You know, and maybe she was just having a bit of a moment. That's fine. I have diva moments. I'm like that too. But it does put into question how we treat people who are in front of our cameras, who are not necessarily people we've asked to be put in front of our cameras, but people who volunteer.
And I think it goes into Ted Lasso as well, because you know there's a number of quotes in Ted Lasso, brilliant series. You should watch it. Yeah. Where it's just like you should treat people how you feel like you should be treated.
100%. You know,
and it's just one of the things. Do you know what? I think that photographer should show a little bit of leg.
Yes, I think he should, yeah.
In terms
I think
of,
what he should do,
not trying to make it sound lighter.
Yeah.
But I feel like that should happen.
Yeah, I think that would be the perfect healthy balance to the situation. I think, you know, there's always, like they say in Star Wars, where there is light, there is dark.
Oh, yeah. There you go.
You know.
Cool.
So yeah, that's currently running at the moment. We also had a couple of weeks ago, I think it was Kate Middleton. I think we mentioned that on our Gold Camera podcast.
Yeah.
A podcast, Gold Camera video, about the controversy around her editing her own photo.
Yeah.
And whether that was, you know, whether it was laughable or not, like we've all started somewhere, I think.
We've all started somewhere.
I've done much worse edits than that, I can tell you 100%. No question.
Tyler, you have no idea. Yeah. I'm going to put it up on screen because I don't know where it is. All right, but I actually edited my face onto the Hulk's body when I was young. It was my first experience with Photoshop, and it's magical.
Yeah. Yeah, I've probably got some stuff like that somewhere as well. Oh, and there's the one where I put all the staff members' faces onto the stormtroopers.
I mean, that was also pretty good.
I was kind of intentionally did that badly though.
And then you put yourself as Big Bird, wasn't it?
I did put myself as Big Bird. Yeah.
Yeah. If you're thinking Big Bird's part of Star Wars, no, he's not.
No.
just this guy.
But we'll find it and we'll post it so you can see. But
there you go.
yeah, basically it was a meme that says when you're the only gay at work. That's basically what it was.
Yeah.
And then Nick found it really funny, so we put it on his desktop on his computer. But yeah, so yeah, but in terms of that, I mean, you know, yes, she's a royal. Yes, you know, she's one of the most famous women in the world.
Yeah.
So her small mistakes that to us wouldn't be a huge deal are going to be a massive thing for her. So it's like,
for sure.
But at the same time, I also sit there and think, well, why wouldn't you, part of the royal family, why wouldn't you get someone to check it before you post it?
Well, it's not even that. I don't think it was even wrong for her to post it. Why do we need to look at these kind of photos with such like negative stipulation? If anything, it's a good thing. It's somebody else trying to do some photography and just enjoying it.
I agree.
So
yes.
from that aspect, you know, because we've all started somewhere.
Yeah.
Why do we have to?
I think I say it in the sense of, you know, they're the royal family, so normally they'd have things checked before they go out. So why didn't somebody spot that? Because somebody would have checked it before it was posted.
You know, again, it's one of those things. Is like, they should have probably had someone check it. But the other side is, I think one of the things is with the royal families that they need to look more human.
They do.
And it made them look more human, at least to me, anyway.
Yeah, no, I like Kate Middleton a lot. I really do. So what else is in the news, Stu?
What else is in the news? Well, have we actually just gone through everything?
Well, we've pretty much gone through everything, yeah, apart from whatever all this crap is up here. DaVinci.
Oh, okay. So, of course, DaVinci has actually released the beta for the DaVinci Studio 19. This is a particularly exciting thing because they've actually added a lot of really cool stuff. For example, might be something that you might be able to understand why it's cool. If you put a track with lyrics and everything like that, you can actually now take away the individual, like the drum, the percussion, the voice, and it takes it off of that track without actually needing to find the stems, which is the root folder of the individual instruments and stuff like that.
I get it.
So that, I think, is really exciting. If it works properly, it's really exciting.
I can see there being a bit of controversy around that, though. And I think, you know,
there might be a little
people
bit.
in the music industry might not like it too much.
It's stuff people could have already done already. You know, it's not necessarily anything bad. And at the end of the day, when it comes to music licensing, it's something that would actually be generally covered. Like every stem of it would be covered essentially. Yeah, 100%. And half the music industry is just freaking copy of music that's been before.
Yeah.
4-chord song.
Let's not go into the whole Ed Sheeran situation either. But that's, you know, still the same thing. But that's an interesting way into AI, really, I think, in photo and video, because I think there's a lot of controversy. So, a particular situation. So, I had a customer come into the store regarding one of our competitions last year. And he said, you should really put on there that AI images should be excluded from competitions. And it's like, but to what extent? Because yes, there's creating images from scratch utilizing AI and not involving cameras in any way, shape or form. And then there's AI enhancements to help better your workflow and to improve on what you're doing and make your life easier, which is where I tend to sit. So I'm not going to create an image out of AI. Why would I do that? But I'm certainly going to use generative fill, and I'm certainly going to use, I think, noise reduction AI. And when
it comes to AI, it's something that is going to be, you can't necessarily have it generate an image for you. I think it takes away from a number of different aspects of the actual art form itself. The other side of it is I agree with the helping out with the general day-to-day functions to how we work. And if I'm honest, where I see AI going in the future is having an AI in terms of like we're just going to call it a personality that helps you out. It's going to be standard. It's going to be something that you would have on your
AI
phone, and it's
assistant,
something that you have taught to help you as an individual.
Yes. Yeah.
And I see that kind of where AI could be useful.
Really useful.
When 100%. It comes to image generation and a lot of the bits and pieces, again, it's making for increasing the efficiency of your work, yes. Yeah. When it comes to actually creating artwork, I mean, it's definitely, you know, it's not art. It's not human. It can be simple, seen as art.
It's not human. And
but it's not human. Yeah. The thing is that that's always going to exist. This technology is only ever going to be as bad as it is right now. Yeah. And there will be a point where we've just generally accepted it in our day-to-day life. Yeah. it's never going to take over from that human interaction because, yes, businesses may find it cheaper to go AI rather than the influencer route.
Mm-hmm.
The other side of it is the influencer route is actually hitting an audience that they've grown, not a AI that creates like a piece of information.
Yeah.
So I think copyright law is going to be massively interesting going forward.
It's going to really change.
Yeah.
I can tell you that much. It's really going to change. They are right in terms of like things like photo competitions with people putting in AI images. Like, stop doing that.
Yeah.
Stop that, because that's not, it's not the right way to do it at all. But generally speaking, I find, like, for me, I use it. I'm not good at graphics. You'll agree.
Yeah.
Okay. But I will generally ask somebody like ChatGPT or whatever it is that we're using to create a graphics for something like Camera Center, but I will have my own input on it. So I will re-customize it to do what we need to do and add that human element to it. So it'll give you a good starting point, and I've always found that, especially with things like ChatGPT, and I know a lot of people use that as well. Using that to create anything original is always a risk, and it's always tricky. But sometimes me and Stuart might be brainstorming, and we might be thinking, right, what are we going to say in this podcast? What are we going to do in this podcast? What topics can we talk about? And we'll type into ChatGPT, and it'll give you a whole list of things that you should do, and then we just take from that and we do it and apply it ourselves. It can really help in that respect. But in terms of going down the whole like medical science route and everything else, that's a whole other thing. Probably not for this podcast. No. But there is a lot of potential and a lot of scope for it to be really helpful, more like a photographic assistant would be, than, taking over. And it'll only take over if we allow it to take over, because there should be stopgaps and laws and things that stop it from basically being Terminator. Essentially. Yeah. No Skynet for you.
I am still optimistic about the future, personally. But it's one of those things that I think will always, forever change and adapt and be different in a number of different situations. But right now, it's...
We're in that grey area at the moment that people don't quite know. And it's like... where's this going to end up going? And there's a lot of scare stories and a lot of things like OpenAI and all that kind of stuff that's going on with Elon Musk. And there's a lot of scare stories going on regarding AI. AI is a good thing and it's a benefit, and it will benefit us, provided we use it the right way and provided we know what we're doing. Start putting it in nuclear weapons, and that's a problem. But put it in cameras, fine. We've got control over that. There we go.
For sure. Cool. Anything else?
I don't think so. I think we're mostly up to date. If we've missed anything, it'd be really nice if you could let us know, because then maybe we can talk about it next week. Next week's news podcast.
Megapixel. Oh, that's it. Legacy Services Basin. Okay, well, this is kind of like...
Oh, are these three different things?
Legacy. There you go.
Sorry, space and time.
This is really cool. Is it actually going to show it? Okay, so this is the largest megapixel.
Oh yes, I've seen this
sensor.
Observatory, isn't it?
It's for an observatory, and I was actually trying to find what the focal length of the actual thing would actually be in like real terms.
It works a bit differently when it comes to things like telescopes or observatories. It's not done in millimeters. There's an equivalent to millimeter, but I believe it's done in miles or something like that, because you have to equate it to the travel of light across long distances. So but I could be completely wrong. If you're watching from NASA, I'm sorry, but you know what I mean. It's not millimeters. I know that for a fact.
But it's really cool. I love the weird and quirky things that is happening within industry for
anything to do with space exploration. Right, I immediately live my Star Trek fantasy. And I'm like, yes. I'm all over it. Anything with the Hubble telescope, love it. Anything to do with NASA, National Geographic, when they love it, I'm like it to a flight. Cool. Love it, honestly. Anything like that, and I'm always amazed by how far they can push the science, because you can do things in space that you can't do here. And that's what fascinates me the most. And it's the whole thing with SpaceX.
I think the craziest news on photography I've seen in general was when they were talking about actually being able to photograph an atom.
Yes.
That was cool.
Yeah. I've actually been to the Kennedy Space Center.
Have you?
I have, yes. Well, it was good. God, it was about 12 years ago.
Yeah.
And I went with a family, and you stand there. I saw the real Enterprise, and that was really cool. You know, the shuttle Enterprise. Yeah. So it was still in the loading bay. I think they kind of just hold it there as a monument more than anything else. And Voyager as well. And then you get to stand underneath all the rockets and stuff, and it's really cool. So if you ever get a chance to go, take your camera 100%, because it is one of those places where you're generally probably not going to go back to if you're from here. So definitely go. And see all the SpaceX launches.
Okay. I think I'm going to introduce a new segment, because this is all improvised. Tip of the day. I've actually there's a great tip.
Go to the Kennedy Space Center.
Go to the Kennedy Space Center. But no, this one, and I think you might quite like it. So you can get like Lego sticky back things to put on things.
Okay.
Someone's put it like I've done here with the Velcro.
Yeah.
And put it on the back, and they've attached a Lego piece to their hard drive.
Right.
I think that's cool.
Why?
To do this, where you got your SSD to
I
increase
see.
the
So
storage
you can stick
of it.
on the hard drive with a Lego piece.
Yes.
Oh, that's cool.
That is actually kind of cool, isn't it?
That is pretty cool, to be fair. Yeah. Another tip of the day: make sure you turn your camera on before you start taking photos. Nothing.
But do you want to know the next tip after that? Yeah. Make sure you got your lens cap.
And make sure your battery's fully charged as well. Stuart will know all too well.
Your memory stick. Make sure you have the right card for your camera.
Yes, and make sure Stuart gives your cards back when he's finished using them, because sometimes you'll lose about 4 before you get them back.
He's not getting this card back today.
Probably not. Anyway, let's
close
it down.
Do you want to do a joke about editors?
I don't know any joke about editors.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Let's close it down.
Okay.
I opened it. You can close it down.
So today, I opened it, but I'm going to close it down anyway. Okay. So this was our first episode of camera news in general. As you can see, as with most of our videos, they're unplanned and untrained, but a lot of fun. I hope you've enjoyed the video, so make sure you like, follow, and subscribe if you want to see more. Next time we'll get the better presenter on, and Tyler is not going to be in it.
Yeah, I'm probably not here every week, but that's fine. I will be, actually. I will be on this one every time, without fail, just to be here and annoy you.
Fair enough.
Roll title sequence, ending title credits.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll do that
too. Stop adding more things for me to do.
Yes, 100%. Roll title sequence. Bye.
Dun, 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 dun. That's something else.